Hello, there we go. Welcome back to another pre-market analysis live stream. Sorry about the mic issue. Um, we're behind schedule, so let's jump right into the charts. All right, now let's review the schedule for the day. The economic news. We have some job reports. ADP payroll numbers came out. We do have then the US dollar index. I like to review the US dollar index. The yen index, we're going to review that. The bond yields, we're going to check some key levels on the bond yields. The VIX, what the VIX is doing, what it did yesterday, and what we see it can do today. Crude oil, very key for today's market behavior. Crude oil has been very, very volatile. Metals, not so much, but we're going to review them. ES, NQ, and RTY, some key levels on the NQ. And then Apple, Microsoft, very important, Microsoft, and Amazon. All right, so let's get rid of this schedule so we can see the news today. We had some mortgage numbers earlier. Mortgage rate went up. It had a ticked up to 5.80%. And all mortgage numbers are just giving us some negative news. Then we had ADP non-farm unemployment. It came lower than expected, a lot lower than expected though. And then we have Chicago PMI at 945, and for that I'm gonna put an alert right now in my cell phone. So we have a Chicago PMI, right? Put an alert while you're trading so it doesn't catch you by surprise. Then crude oil inventories is gonna come out today at 10:30, so it's a very important metric for crude oil and more crude oil stuff here. All right, then we have in the afternoon another member speaking of the FOMC. All right, so we gotta pay attention for the 9:45 PMI, Chicago PMI. All right, with that, let's go to the dollar. Yesterday was very bearish, right, in the morning, and then started to catch up to the upside and turn positive, right? Let's go back down to the 4-hour. The 4-hour is being sideways since August 22nd, right? But is in this range, but is trending up. Like we tested August 18th demand, and from there we just reject big time. And then we tested yesterday that same demand created from August 18th, right? Is in a clear uptrend for the year, and it came to one of these supplies that I had drawn, and it's rejecting right now. Now what I want to see is dollar coming back to 108.79 for me to take a short in the equity markets. So let's go down to the 30-minute. Let's go down to a 30-minute, and I do have all these rejections created from yesterday. Well, actually, if we watch the 5 minutes, is even you can watch them better. Here you have one rejection, second, third rejection, and then we are testing these highs, and then we rejected earlier around 8:10 when market open. Now, what is a likely scenario, right? For me is if dollar comes down here, I do expect two things. Either sideways for a couple candles here, and here's the deal for me. if it comes to this pivot, right, because this is the open for the New York FX market, right, 815. So here we see the clear rejection to the upside. But if somehow we come down here and we retrace to this point, I want to see either a continuation, right, for more bullishness, or if I see some sideways movement around here, I will expect the dollar to continue to the downside, right? If this happened, that's a bullish case for the equity markets. But this key is level for me. Is this level is very key for me. Okay, is 108.83 right here. Let me mark this up. There you go. All right, so pay attention to the dollar. The dollar is one of the key components of our trading, or at least my trading system. So I will watching it very closely. All right, let's get rid of these lines. All right, I want to check the yen, but the yen is being very sideways. There's nothing, there's no meat here. The 5 minute, if I go to the daily, it's being just sideways, and it is holding this low created. So it's neutral today as it was yesterday. So I do not expect any influence from the yen to the markets. So I do have a neutral bullish dollar and a neutral yen as of now. Now, what about bond yields? So bond yield, if we see here a schedule, okay, let's go to the bond yields. So the bond yield is neutral as well, but it doesn't have any sort of supply up to 3.273. That's what I'm. Here is where I'm looking at the bond yields. But for now, I do expect a continuation, a slowly grind up of the bond yields. Especially the mortgage yields are going up. Bond yields, they depend one of each other. Most mortgage yield depends on 10-year yield. They mostly mirror this 10-year yield. All right, let's continue here. Let's go to the VIX. This is the volatility index. Is neutral bearish today? Let's go to the 30-minute. Yesterday, we didn't get to this pivot to test it, but we rejected immediately. Now, one thing that made me skeptical here is that we barely broke the upside, and then we started to come down. Even with the market going down, though, the market closed. It didn't close at the lows, though. All right, let's go down to the 30 minutes. And here we have a clear rejection off of this pivot. I was expecting more like around here, but we went up to the upper side of the range. Now it's yet to see if we're gonna retest these lows from the pre-market, or we're gonna go back up to the 2770. My opinion is that this high held, and then we might have some more downside, probably like this, and then if it really wants to go up, then yes. If not, it'll continue to come down around this pivot or this pivot. Now here's a very important pivot that held yesterday, but for now this is the key, sorry, this is the key level that I want to H, this is the key level that I want to watch right here. This is a pre-market low and coincides with the explosion yesterday at market open. Okay, so for me, VIX is neutral bearish today. That means that the market shouldn't be too bearish, but we're gonna see. It's right now is in the middle of the range from yesterday. Now, we broke to the downside. We immediately rejected this pivot, but we couldn't break the upside. So that makes me a little bit skeptical of how strong the VIX might be, and how much upside we have here. So I'm paying attention to the VIX today. All right, so let's go to crude oil. Crude oil, this very, very massive daily pivot here held and created this rejection from here and started to go up. Now, we do have a lot of supply. All these technical points are putting pressure into crude oil, and a lot of like macro and geopolitics issues that we have right now are putting some pressure on oil. I do think this pivot is too strong for it to just fail. So we might have a continuation to the downside. If we break this one, I'm saying, if we break this, we might have a continuation to this area where all the buyers showed up, and a continuation to the upside, right? Or from here, we haven't broken this pivot. This pivot is still holding and is aligned with this rejection, right? If you see, it's not a very clean path to one side. It moves very choppy, in a choppy manner. So I don't want to pay attention to crude oil. Definitely crude oil is putting some pressure on the oil sector in the S&P, and that makes those stocks to influence on the index as well. And overall, the S&P, I think, is a more influencing a market of all, more than RTY and YM and NQ. All right. Also, that's for crude oil. We have to, if we hold today here in this pivot, which it looks like it wants to, let's go to the 30 minutes. I want to see if I can find something. The market just opened though, by the way. Crude oil opens at 9 a.m. We do have a clear rejection here from the 22nd. Now here is an important area right there. And it coincides with this pivot and is holding right there. Now, why this pivot is so important? First of all, this is 10 a.m., right? All the 4-hour candle closes and open at 10 a.m. in the futures market, right? So that's the highest volume 4-hour candle of the day. And then we're coming from a downtrend here on the 30-minute, right? And then we attempt here to change trends. We were fighting sellers here, but buyers ultimately won the battle, right? And then it rejected, and so they fought for probably 4 or 5 days here, and then at the end buyers dominated the battle, right? So this pivot is very important. And here I can see how, again, sellers were attempting to bring price down, but buyers just stepped in strongly just to push the market up. So that's a very crucial point for me. And here it is, the rejection today. We had a lot of sideways movement on the pre-market, so that's a very good sign for oil, if oil wants to come back up. And for the supply side, I obviously want to check. All right, we were going to the uptrend, and then we rejected here, so we have this pivot, right? And then we have this pivot right here, and here we don't have too much. That's the worst part here. I would say this is a good area. What time was this? 10 a.m. There you go. So I would put this one here. 92.50. Let's see if we can get to this point on the inventories report. All right. Regarding the metals, I just like to glance them. They're going. Silver is going back down, as long with gold, and all that may be because of the dollar strength, right? Dollar is barely, it's just neutral. It's very neutral today. But metals get very sensitive. All commodities, right? But metals especially. All right, so let's keep going here. All right, let's go to the real meat here. ES. On the ES, we held this point yesterday, but ultimately we no, this was 2 days ago, but yesterday we finally had the breakout. Now I'm watching this pivot. Like, we had this pivot here, buyers continue to push here. Here they attempted to hold to the upside. Now we broke to the downside, right? So the next stop for me is around here. Where is it? All this, right? So let's put a draw here. There you go. This is too wide. I need to narrow it now. Now we broke to the downside, and we are rejecting these lows from yesterday. That was rejected at London Open right here. So, and what's the key here? What is key? So if we have this supply, right? For me, the key part is watching the dollar. If the dollar is gonna break down, this thing can, and I'm not saying I'm bullish biased today. Like, this thing can come back down and then continue to go up, right? So I like this break and retest strategy that I use. That's basically what I trade in my short-term trade, day trading. So, but if we hold these, which is the most likely scenario, then we will have some more downside. Now, today we did have the ADP payrolls report, but the real news is happening Friday, when unemployment comes out. So we might have some sideways movement today. I do not expect too much of a movement in the ES or the NQ. All right, same for the Nasdaq, but the Nasdaq has an even more bullish case because this pivot was almost getting violated. Now, here's the other part. If you see here, let's go to the 4-hour. If we go to the 4-hour, if you guys see, this pivot is already tested, right? All the breakout and retest strategy, the NQ just came and tested this high, right? So maybe NQ is driving the rest of the market. And we're holding pretty nicely right there. So yes, this is yesterday at 10. We came down and then we started to just slowly grind up, right? We didn't close at the high of the day, but we don't need to. We just need to pay attention to what is doing on the big picture. So if this pivot don't hold, which I don't expect, because here we had a huge rejection, right? And then buyers attempted to go up. Buyers attempted to go up, but they still have the selling pressure from Friday, and we dropped from there. Now this is sort of like a bear flag, right? But I do not expect this pivot to hold, especially right now. So it's key for the open. I want to see the open. If the open just go back up and break this overnight high, we might have some breakout to the upside. Now, if we hold that, because here's the deal. Let me go back down to the 30-minute. The 30-minute does not have just have this pivot, but it's not the ideal for me. There's no downtrend change right here. Not even this one. Not even this one. I would say more like this one is a little bit better, because we were like screaming down here, and then we flipped price for probably from the 22nd to the 26th, a little bit better, right? So we had like a stronger move up, and then this pivot would actually give us a better trade. That's 12,844, 812.40, let's call it, right? But for now, I am very neutral on the NQ. It's in the middle of nowhere. I'm very cautious today. Friday is unemployment, so the market might be waiting for the unemployment numbers to come out. R2Y. Now R2Y has check on the R2Y. All right, so R2Y is even more bullish. NQ was testing this pivot. You guys see, this is a lot higher on the R2Y. So we just came to this, right, which is not very important pivot for me. But this one is the one that I'm paying attention to. But R2Y is actually more bullish overall. And if we have, let's go to the 30-minute. If we have here a break to the upside, this is midnight, so this is the overnight. So if we cross above the overnight, and obviously I will need the internals to be aligned here, or if we don't break the overnight, we might have a test from here. So but overall, I do think the RTY has a have the best bullish case of the equity markets. All right, let's go real quick to Apple. Why I do look at Apple all the time. Apple is stock influencing the most on the equity markets, right? So Apple is gonna open here aligned with these pivots. So Apple is telling me here that we might have some bearish case, or at least at the open. If sellers step in at the open, we might have some drop, but closing the gap right here at 159 is going to be very difficult for it to not bounce from here. We have this little gap. We might have to close it right here and align with all these pivots. Or well, Apple closed actually this gap, right? And this gap is very strong. It usually closes and then started to bounce back up, and that's the case today. So again, Apple is in the middle. I don't want to trade in the middle. I want to trade in the extremes. So my trade is more probable and have a better risk and reward ratio. All right, let's watch some Microsoft, right? So Microsoft, very interesting. Now, Microsoft does have a very bearish case. We came to this very strong pivot coinciding with this one, right? And this demand, buyers tried to hold here, but they couldn't, and then we finally broke to the downside. No, now Microsoft had this massive gap from 59 to 52 to fill, right? Right now we're gonna open at supply, meaning pre-market just came to this breakout point, and I wanna see what Microsoft is gonna do. If Microsoft just gap up and keeps going, then the markets will follow as well. But I don't think sellers are very strong right here, because a lot of buyers were stepping in. Right? Actually, we spent the entire day on 29th, and then we finally broke down yesterday. So entire day of sideways movement. So I want to see what Microsoft is doing. So Microsoft has a more clear bearish case than the other ones. Amazon. Amazon is in demand. We finally we haven't closed this gap, but we are testing all these highs, right? And we are holding. So we're not gonna open at supply. Sorry, we're gonna open at this supply, but for me the strong supply is around here. I would say around 132. So Amazon might have some upside opportunity right here. So we might come up and then reject from here, or actually reject from the open right away. So I'm leaning on Microsoft for the bearish case. I want to pay attention to Microsoft. Microsoft is the second company that has more influence on the equity markets, or at least the NQ and the ES. So I want to be very, very thorough there. I want to pay attention to that. So I think with that, I'm gonna be neutral on the neutral, not even neutral bearish or neutral bullish. I think the dollar has some bearishness, and and the VIX has some bearishness. That means that the market could bounce, but there's no a clear trend or clear path for it to give me a like a solid bias. So I will be expecting a sideways market today, and also because we have unemployment on Friday, and the market might wait for it to come out. So with that, I see you guys in 10 minutes for the live trading session. See you.